Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and President Trump is not taking the bait from this ridiculous reporter and revealing his hand on what's actually happening with Iran. Let's dive in.
Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you gotta do something. You gotta negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that. And they got hit. Remember 60 days? And then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number. That was one hell of a hit, that first hit. That was one hell of a hit. Not sustainable, to be honest. That's where it ended. It ended on the first night, yes.
Is it too late, though? Do you think it's too late to now?
Really, nothing's too late. The only thing too late is Powell. Powell's too late. Too late, Powell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you, Mr. President?
What?
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said it's very late. I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President,
we may meet. It's. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
President, you said we may meet. Isabel said we may meet. Is this about Vance and with Trump possibly going to talk about?
It's about anybody. They even suggested they come to the White House. It's a big difference. But they've suggested that they come to the White House. That's, courageous, but, it's like not easy for them to do. But they suggest, because I can't go now because of what's going on. I had to come back early from the G7, which was terrific, by the way, in Canada. Really terrific. Good people.
Is there a possibility of next week or sooner that
Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on. I mean, they're totally defenseless.
Folks, when playing poker, you never reveal your hand, all right? You play with the cards close to your chest. However, in the case of Iran, they're playing with this hand. This, 2 black 8s, 2 black aces. The last known hand of Wild Bill Hickok, the dead man's hand. They're in a world of trouble, and of course, Donald Trump is not going to tell the rest of the world what the next step is going to be. All right? That should be kind of obvious, and no reporter in their right mind should even bother asking it. But of course, this one poor sucker does, and gets a fantastic answer. All right? Even the guys in the background who were setting up the new flagpoles over at the White House lawn, they're laughing about it. And rightfully so. It's a funny little quip right there at the end. So these guys know more about foreign policy than the reporter asking the question. It's just so odd. It's just bizarre. The mainstream media will do anything they can for a headline, and when it comes to, thinking about, well, what would a smart question actually be? I know. Let's ask your next plan of attack against Iran. Seriously, it's dumb. It's more than dumb. But you know what? I think there's something going on underneath the surface here, and Trump actually stated it. Despite the fact that he's being asked about the Iran policy, which, by the way, Iran is not just between a rock and a hard place. It has set itself up again as a pariah on the world stage, all right? Russia doesn't even like interacting with them. They'll send them some drones from time to time. They might send them some equipment, but they know that's going to end up having a lot of backlash. And the majority Shia nation, for some reason, keeps on trying to poke all the other Sunni nations with, the actual money. For instance, in the Persian Gulf. All right, trying to poke the bear around the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, trying to see if they can get the rest of the world to, raise oil prices just because they can. Yeah, it's not a smart strategy. Eventually, you poke someone one too many times, and they're going to turn around and do something. And that's exactly what Israel is doing at the moment. But again, there is something way more important, I think, going on in this clip that I think went over a lot of people's heads, particularly this reporter. And basically, it has to do with the head of the Federal Reserve, Chairman Powell. He caught astray for just a brief moment when Trump had this little quip about too late Powell. Now, usually when I hear the words Powell, I usually think of the old General Powell. I don't usually think of Jerome Powell. And Trump actually said this later on in an interview, "Maybe I should go to the Fed," Trump mused at the White House on Wednesday, hours before the central bank was set to announce its latest interest rate move. Why would Trump bring this up when talking about Iran? Well, it's a classic Trump strategy, particularly when he was getting his start in American politics, not in 2012 when he was throwing bombs about Obama and his birth certificate. No. Back in late 2014 and 2015, he started basically throwing out little quips here and there and gauging the reaction from the crowd. And if the reaction was good and positive, he would then go on that new rabbit trail until he ran out of steam, and then he'd move on to something else. So this is something that Trump does. And even today in 2024, 10 years later, 2025, man, my years are running together. But here in 2025, he's talking about Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve. That's because he's had a bone to pick with the Federal Reserve for a while, and I don't entirely blame him. They have artificially kept interest rates low, even though Joe Biden's policies should have forced a higher rate. Pressure was put upon Powell to keep rates artificially low, and now it's getting harder and harder for the U.S. to actually sell its debt. And so Trump is not happy with the Federal Reserve. He wants to keep interest rates low, and the Feds say, no, now we've got to raise it. Well, why now? So I don't blame Trump for wanting to pick a fight here, but I think it's very, very interesting that when talking about a flagpole ceremony, talking about Iran, that the thing on Trump's mind isn't either of those things being stated. It's actually the Federal Reserve. And so we've got a huge issue on our hands that isn't Iran. Currently, they've been unusually well neutralized. We always knew that Israel was armed to the teeth, but Iran has not been able to strike back. They have been unusually impotent in this fight. And I'm not wanting to really take one side or the other, although I know for sure I'm not in the Iranian camp. No, the Iran regime is nuts. They are full-blown nuts. Fortunately, their people don't share the same sentiment. Young people apparently in Iran do not like the current regime. However, I think the truth about this matter is Trump is trying to focus on the deficit. He's trying to focus on the debt. He's focusing on the Federal Reserve, which has its thumb on the scale of the American economy. So I think all of these fights over tariffs, these fight back and forth with Canada, the renegotiating of trade deals, I think it's all leading up to a major moment. And so the real news, I think, is coming up later today. That is July 18th, 2025, as of this filming, seeing what happens with the Federal Reserve. That's where I will be focused, and it's not on the Iran-Israel kerfluffle going on right now. That's not where my focus is, but you know what? Let me know what you think down in the comments below about what's actually happening here in this clip. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.